Movie review time. Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. Is it any good? Is it worth seeing? Should you spend 2 hours of your life watching this film? Stick around and you'll find out. So, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. Should you spend 2 hours of your life watching this film? No, you shouldn't. It is rubbish. Do you remember the original Jurassic Park? It had Richard Attenborough. Remember him? Grand master of English acting, little short guy, white hair, beard, glasses, made Gandhi and starred in Brighton Rock around about the time of the Second World War. God, that was a long time ago. Anyway, he was in it. He played a kind of elderly scientist. Jeff Goldblum was in it. He played an American. Bob Peck was in it. He was good. Never really got the fame he deserved. And Laura Dern. Another very good American actress. She was the kind of female interest. And then there were dinosaurs. Now we hadn't seen dinosaurs. Well, we've never seen dinosaurs, let's face it, since they walked the earth, and we didn't see them then. But here were dinosaurs on the screen, and they were real. We felt they were real. They galloped, lumbered through the forest on this idyllic tropical island. They flew through the air, the pterodactyls, and there was a Tyrannosaurus which had big scaly skin and sharp teeth, and they were scary, these dinosaurs. We hadn't seen anything like that. We hid under the seats if we could fit under the seats in the cinema. Anyway, it was a good film. It was a great film. Spielberg, I think. You'll believe a dinosaur can fly or run or jump or do all the other things that dinosaur could do, and it was frightening. It was frightening. It was a good film. Then there was a sequel. The sequel wasn't very good, and then there was another Jurassic film which was a few years ago, which I saw, which was, it was the same kind of thing. It was dinosaurs. It was people. There was a bit of threat, and now there's another one, and it's still called Jurassic, so it's got dinosaurs in it. It's called Fallen Kingdom for reasons that I suppose rather escape me. But the trouble is that the characters are ciphers. There's a bad guy. The bad guy is always kind of middle-aged, verging on elderly. He's always white. He's always vaguely English. Looks a bit like me, really. Then there's a hero. The hero in this film is played by Chris Pratt. Strange name for a hero, but anyway, he's a hero, and because he wears a leather waistcoat, like Bear Grylls or one of those other people who was always out in the Lake District or places like that. And he's like a dinosaur whisperer. So he's a scientist. So he's sensitive. He's sensitive, but he's also a tough guy. He's got muscles, and he can get into fights, and he can beat people up and so forth. So if there are bad guys, watch out. Chris Pratt's in town. But then the other characters, they're just kind of ciphers. They're just central casting. There's a female character, a scientist. Female characters are always scientists these days, just to show that women can get into the sciences like men can. And she's feisty. She's feisty because she fights back against the sexist comments made by the nasty old English bad guy. And then there's a young fella, kind of nerdy, geeky fella. He's good with computers, but he's frightened of dinosaurs. And then there's a love interest, and sorry, I need to look this up, played by Bryce Dallas Howard. No, me neither. Anyway, she's impossibly beautiful, as you would be, and she's the leader of some kind of environmental, ecological, Save the Dinosaurs group or whatever, and she's secretly, well, not so secretly in fact, in love with Chris Pratt, who's the dinosaur whisperer. Anyway, the gist of the story is that these dinosaurs are stuck on the island, and the island is subject to a volcanic eruption, so all the dinosaurs are about to die, and the nasty American government is not going to intervene to save them. But some other bad guys decide to rescue some of the dinosaurs so that they can sell them off to Chechen arms dealers for reasons that rather escape me. Anyway, they go to the island, the bad guys, and they dupe Chris Pratt and the impossibly beautiful woman and the female scientist and the nerdy geeky guy to go with them to help them rescue some of these dinosaurs, sort of Noah's Ark kind of thing. Anyway, they sail off away from the island, and Chris Pratt and the impossibly beautiful girl played by Bryce Dallas Howard and the female scientist and the nerdy guy, they manage just in time. It's important to the story that they manage just in time to escape onto the ship that's carrying away the dinosaurs. Only the bad guys don't know they've escaped, which is quite convenient and quite why they don't know, because the impossibly beautiful woman drives this truck onto the ship as it's leaving the dock of the island with the dinosaurs on it, but the bad guys don't see them. Anyway, the bad guys are taking the dinosaurs to this kind of big estate in California. It looks a bit like Balmoral, and it is the residence of a professor, I think it's Professor Sir Lockwood, who was Richard Attenborough's partner, Richard Attenborough, of course, having now died. And this Lockwood is very elderly, and he's played by James Cromwell. James Cromwell, you may remember from Babe, Pig in the City. He was also in LA Confidential. He was very good in that. Anyway, he plays an old guy in a wheelchair. He's suffering. He's near the end of his life. And he has, he's either an assistant or a son or a nephew, I'm not quite sure, played by Rafe Spall, I think. Rafe Spall turns out to be a bad guy, because what he's secretly doing is creating this massive underground James Bond Blofeld-like complex underneath the Balmoral type estate. James Cromwell doesn't realise this, by the way. There's about 100 scientists and loads of technology and cages and stuff going on beneath his feet, but James Cromwell doesn't know this. Anyway, the bad guy, Rafe Spall, wants to capture these dinosaurs and then sell them to what seems to be sort of Chechen arms dealers and Asian or South Korean businessmen or whatever. I'm not quite sure why, but anyway, that's the plan. So they have a big auction, and who should appear as the auctioneer but little Toby Jones. Now, Toby Jones is an actor, so exactly what he's doing in this piece of nonsense is anybody's guess. Perhaps he's bought a new house and he needs to pay the mortgage. Anyway, he plays the auctioneer, and you have all these bad guy Chechens and Asian arms dealers and so forth, and all is in this big kind of room, and they bring out the dinosaurs onto a kind of catwalk. So the dinosaurs are in big cages, and they parade them in front of the bad guys, and Toby Jones auctions them off. Anyway, Chris Pratt and the impossibly beautiful woman and the female scientist and the nerdy guy, they're trapped in a dungeon, but Chris Pratt calls to one of the dinosaurs in his dinosaur whispering kind of way, and gets that dinosaur to batter through a brick wall so that they can escape from the dungeon. And then that dinosaur runs into this big hall where these 500 Chechen arms dealers are all gathered, having the dinosaurs auctioned by Toby Jones, and then they all scatter, and in about 10 minutes they practically all of them disappeared, which I thought was a little far-fetched. Anyway, Chris Pratt then has a big fight. He fights with a whole load of bad guys and knocks them all out. And then what happens then? The Lockwood character has been smothered in his bed by the person played by Rafe Spall. Only the Lockwood character, I'm struggling a bit here trying to remember, he has a granddaughter called Maisie, who's about 8 years old, typical feisty 8-year-old girl, anyway, and she also escapes from the bad guys. So the remaining dinosaurs are trapped in this kind of dungeon area, and there's some gas escaping which is going to kill all the dinosaurs. So all the dinosaurs are about to die and become extinct like they were originally from that big catastrophic incident that happened all those millions of years ago that nobody really understands why. It might have something to do with Brexit, but it could be something else. Anyway, so Chris Pratt, who's the dinosaur whisperer, who's a good guy but believes that these dinosaurs are not safe to walk the earth because they've been genetically modified by the bad guys. And Bryce Dallas Howard also agrees, so that there's a few tears. But then on the console in the control room of this Blofeld sort of complex, looks a bit like Balmoral, there is a button, and the button says, "Open the doors." There's always a button that says open the doors or blow everything up or whatever. Anyway, Chris Pratt hovers over the button and he's about to press it, and then he doesn't press it, and you think, oh dear, all the dinosaurs are going to die. And then Maisie, the 8-year-old, lifts up the glass cover and she presses the button, boom, like that. And all the dinosaurs are free to once again walk the earth, because everything should be free, and animals should be free, and dinosaurs should be free, and we should all be free. So these dinosaurs that kind of kill everything in their path are now free to kill everything in their path, but Maisie has done the right thing. So why is the film rubbish? Well, it's rubbish because these characters are ciphers. It's rubbish because the direction is by the numbers. There's nothing exciting. There's no real tension in the film. It's a 12A, so lots of people get killed, but nobody gets hurt. The bad guy has his arm, and first his arm and then his head bitten off and eaten, and then I think possibly one of his legs by the Tyrannosaurus. But there's no kind of real. There's no suffering. I mean, no humans were injured during the making of this film. No humans suffered during the making of this film. The only people who suffered were the audience. So there's no real threat, because it's a 12A, and you don't want kids to go home and have nightmares. It's a film that you can take your kids to, and in fact, well, I took my son. He's not really a kid. He's 17. But we were sitting next to a woman, and she had her kid. He was maybe 10, 11, 12, I don't know. Anyway, he watched the film. She was on her phone all the time. She was on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all this other social media stuff. So she didn't watch the film at all. Very sensible woman. So I kind of wish I'd followed her. So it's rubbish for that reason. There's no real threat. There's no real excitement. The good guys always win and the bad guys always lose. So it's kind of like real life, only it's not like real life. And the trouble with the dinosaurs is you've seen them before, and they're not really any different. I mean, what would they? They're not making any new dinosaurs, are they? But they're not any different. They're no scarier when they used to be, and they were a lot scarier when you first saw them on the screen, because you weren't expecting them. Now you've seen it before, dinosaurs, Jurassic, blah, blah, blah. And it's just not worth wasting 2 hours of your life watching this film. Except, and here's the funny thing, normally when I go to the film, go and see a film with my son, he quite likes it, and I think it's absolute pants. This film, funnily enough, despite what I've just said, I quite enjoyed it, and he said it was absolute pants. So you pays your money and you makes your choice. The film is a while of pank, but I quite enjoyed it, or it's a while of pank and you're not going to enjoy it. I mean, I would say, should you go and see it? No, don't waste your life. Don't waste your time. You know, go and do something else. Watch Love Island. Watch Love Island. There you are. Yeah, do something else with your life. Watch Love Island. But don't watch Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. See you next time.